Welcome, everyone, to AEW Unrestricted. We are the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. Tony Schiavone, Aubrey Edwards, joined by the man himself, our owner, CEO, Tony Khan. The wrestling world is talking about two things right now. First of all, AEW Revolution coming up this Sunday, exclusively on pay-per-view, this Sunday, March 6th, but also talking about the big announcement this man made on Wednesday. It has everybody talking. It has the wrestling world talking. It has the business world talking. You know, we could spend an entire podcast about it. We're going to be talking about it on future podcasts. But today, we need to be talking about Revolution coming up on pay-per-view on Sunday, March 6th. TK. Let's go, buddy.
Let's go. I love it. It's a tradition, and we're here. We're on the road to Revolution, and I love our pay-per-view podcasts, and now we get to do a very extra special one. It's going to be one of our best pay-per-views yet, I really believe, and I'm excited to be here, as always, with the two of you on Unrestricted.
It's amazing all that you have going on in your life. That it's just amazing. And I just want to say that we have had, this will be our third Revolution. We've had so many great matches during Revolution over the last couple of years. It always seems to stick out and do something big. I remember the first one, we had that tag team match with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. And now here we fast forward 2 years. Hangman Adam Page is the world champion right now that we'll talk about a little bit later on. But let's first of all talk about the dog collar match.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a huge match, and really also has been the talk of pro wrestling over the last few weeks.
Sure.
What's been happening with CM Punk and MJF, this dog collar match, I'm so excited for it. And we've seen a different side of MJF through this.
Sure.
But you know, we've also seen he's still as underhanded as ever.
Yes.
People have been waiting to see, I think, this CM Punk that we've seen, recently. The CM Punk who teamed with Sting and Darby Allin and put on that face paint against MJF and the FTR.
Yeah.
The same CM Punk we saw at Full Gear who battled Eddie Kingston. And I think we're seeing CM Punk pissed off, and he's going to be ready to fight on Sunday in this dog collar match. I'm very excited. So many people have reached out to say this is the most excited they've been for a wrestling match in a long time.
Right.
The story these guys have told, it's incredible.
I absolutely believe it. I mean, it's CM Punk, who, as you said, Revolution is this big thing. CM Punk was not even in wrestling the last time we had a Revolution pay-per-view. So already, if you look at how crazy this year has been for us, CM Punk is back. He's having these incredible matches with all of our talent. And now he has this amazing feud with MJF that's just absolutely like... I'm not quite sure what to believe even, because I don't think I could ever have sympathy for Max.
No, not now. But let me say this is a match built on emotion.
It is.
When CM Punk showed the picture of he and Max together, it touched me, because I remember when I first fell in love with wrestling. You remember, Aubrey, you remember.
It was CM Punk.
And that touched him, and that's the reason we're here. That touched all of our lives, and it touched Max's lives. Be that as it may, he's underhanded, and when we think about great dog collar matches, we think about the one that Brody Lee had. We think about Greg Valentine and Roddy Piper, and I was there at that one. But this time, Max, who seems to always get away, will not be able to get away from CM Punk. He's going to be basically chained to him.
100%. I think you can really look forward to there's no way that MJF's going to get away from CM Punk here, and you know that you're going to get a fight. And these two just plain have had a great wrestling feud. Yeah. And it's what the whole thing's about, I think. And we've got a great chance to make some fans, I think, very happy with a big match.
Right.
I really have enjoyed week to week the matches they've had, but I've also enjoyed the promos. And I think look back all the way back to Thanksgiving in Chicago and Thanksgiving Eve. They've done some fantastic promo segments to set up what has been a really interesting story.
Right.
They've had an amazing match one-on-one in Chicago.
Right.
That was, from being there Thanksgiving Eve and coming back in February. Mm-hmm. And in between, I mean, we've seen him in that great trios match that I mentioned with Sting and Darby teaming up with Punk against MJF and FTR. And in between, I mean, so much great story. And in between, speaking of FTR, what a great match Punk and Moxley had with them on the road here. And now it feels like this thing is really ready to explode, and big matches like this are what Revolution is all about.
Right. And great matches, what AEW is all about. Really, you touched on some of those matches, and it's. They ask me sometimes, "How do you get so excited?" I said, "Buddy, it's not hard.
It's easy.
When you see great matches and you're a fan, it's really not hard to get excited."
That's so true.
Yeah. All right. Got a AEW World Tag Team Championship Trios match coming up at Revolution on pay-per-view. reDRagon and now the Young Bucks will be taking on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And you're talking about some great storylines there and some interesting storylines since Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly arrived. There has obviously been a little bit of, I don't know, hard feelings, friction, what do you call it? But, I mean, obviously in a World Tag Team title scenario, you got to talk about the champions, but the Young Bucks and reDRagon, that's kind of an issue as well.
Well, absolutely. I think that's why it's such a fascinating situation. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, they're working against four men who, are they on the same page or not? I think we've seen that the Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, reDRagon, they definitely all agree. I think that they're all big fans of Adam Cole. They all, I think, would agree that they want to see Adam Cole become the world champion on Sunday night. But I'm not sure that they would all agree about anything else lately. Right. And they tried work together, and I mean, at times it looked like it was a very effective unit in the tag team battle royale. And then to see the Young Bucks in the Casino Tag Royale just last night on Dynamite, they're one of the best tag teams in the world. They came very close to winning the first tag team battle royale, and it was a pretty intelligent, savvy veteran move from Kyle O'Reilly. It's every man for himself, every tag team for himself in this case. And that's how O'Reilly and Fish secured the first spot.
Right. Now
the Young Bucks, who, like we mentioned earlier, you brought it up, Revolution, I think we've seen the Young Bucks have some of the best matches, maybe the best matches of anybody in AEW. So I'm excited about that. And like you said, I mean, you got to talk about the great champions, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. They've had some amazing matches since they became the champions, some great defenses. And this is definitely the toughest test they've had, not defending against one top team, but against two top teams who are kind of working together and kind of not. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, whether they're working together or not, they have so much history together as well. So walking into this match is going to be excellent. We've seen, as you mentioned, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have had incredible matches before, and even more so since their title run started. But I think the combination of all three of these teams together in such a unique match format it's absolutely going to be fascinating. And I'm really looking forward to see how this all plans out, just with both the match itself as well as all of the personal feelings that we could feel within the match.
And the men know each other. They've wrestled each other a lot. I mean, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have a lot of experience against the Young Bucks. Bobby Fish and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have worked against each other. Kyle O'Reilly, though, when he came into AEW, he hasn't had as many matches. So both ways, Kyle O'Reilly not as familiar with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in the ring, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus not as familiar with Kyle O'Reilly as they would be with Young Bucks and Bobby Fish. But we've seen some great matches with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus against the Young Bucks in the past. What an amazing match they had at our last pay-per-view, Full Gear. One of the best Falls Count Anywhere matches you'll see. And I think following up on that, now at this pay-per-view with the tag team titles on the line, the Young Bucks are really in their element here. Pay-per-view, big tag team match. So it'll be very interesting because Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, they've been in big matches. They stepped up big at Full Gear. But this is the biggest test they've ever had on pay-per-view. And now with O'Reilly and Fish, it's their pay-per-view debut. So it's a huge situation.
It's hard to prepare for a three-way match. It's hard enough to prepare for a tag team match, or a tag team title match, but a three-way match, that makes it difficult because I don't know if you just can't prepare for something like this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be crazy. And we know what these teams are capable of separately. I think together it's just going to be really exciting to see the chemistry they have, and I expect a great three-way match for the Tag Team Championship at Revolution.
We're talking about Revolution. It's coming up this Sunday exclusively on pay-per-view, so make sure you join us wherever you get your pay-per-view. You can see it on the BR app. You can also see it internationally on fight.tv, that app there as well. And we're many theaters around the country as well, so be sure to join us for Revolution. Tony, of all the matches at Revolution that has piqued my interest, I think Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
What?
I don't even like violence, and I'm really excited for it.
Exactly.
I can't wait.
What a great job of putting this match together. I mean, you've got two of the biggest stars over the last 4 or 5 years in wrestling.
Well, I think two of the biggest stars, I mean, I just not to take anything away, but I really believe in the last decade. Solid
Sure.
decade.
I believe it. I believe it.
These are two of the top guys, most recognizable pro wrestlers in the world. But you're right. In the last 5 years, too,
Yes.
more so. I mean,
Right.
sure, absolutely.
Right. And now, you talk about violence. We know what both these guys can do. This is going to be a hard-hitting, physical, lack of a better term, violent match.
I expect a great fight, but I also think these guys both know how to wrestle, and that's what
Sure.
makes it so interesting.
Right.
Because I think when you get a match, which is like, you know, the great matches, like a lot of great matches from Japan in the 1980s, All Japan Pro Wrestling, the early Pro Wrestling Noah, when you get guys that really tend to that violent style, but also that have a vast array of wrestling moves in their command and can implement, wrestling moves and really bring that to the fight and a variety of styles. I just think it's very cool. And Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson also, what's been happening between them, the relationship that's developed and changed between them. It's very interesting because they go back a long time. Like I said, two of the most recognizable pro wrestlers of the past decade, and they go back together long before AEW even existed. They've interacted, and I honestly think it's, to me, one of the matches I most look forward to in pro wrestling. It's a dream match for so many fans, and it's a dream match for me personally. I can't wait to see Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley at Revolution.
Jon Moxley returned from his time off that he had taken for personal reasons, slimmed down, looking great, but as badass as ever. He didn't lose a step, did he? I mean, he came back the same old Jon Moxley, just kind of...
I've been up close to him in the ring. He's still just as terrifying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and his first match is back. Of course, you've been out there refereeing.
He had him and Ethan Page was fantastic. In his match with Punk versus FTR, as you mentioned earlier, was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. And also incredible match with Anthony Bowen.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Right.
And Wheeler Yuta. So we've seen Mox looking as good as ever. And Bryan Danielson, arguably the best wrestler in the world, arguably the best wrestler, let's be honest, of all time, at least in my opinion.
Sure.
I think Bryan Danielson's one of the all-time great pro wrestlers.
No question.
I really believe it.
Yeah.
And to have these guys in this match on Revolution, a pay-per-view known for delivering great matches, I'm excited.
Yeah, when he walked out at All Out in Chicago, what a moment. Wow, what a moment. And I know you followed his career as well.
He's my favorite wrestler ever.
Yeah.
So to see him facing all of our own talent on a week-to-week basis, it's just been absolutely incredible. So, I mean, he's one of these guys, we talk about him. He's this fantastic wrestler. He has all this knowledge. He's giving back to people, but we can't be lost of that because we know that the moment you look the other way, he's just going to beat the crap out of somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It should be a struggle. It should be, and as Tony said, two guys who will fight but know how to wrestle as well. And that's what's making this match interesting. We're talking about AEW Revolution. It's coming up only on pay-per-view this Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern. And we'll be talking more of the matches in AEW Revolution when we continue on Unrestricted.
This is AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. We've got Aubrey and Tony here with Tony Khan, changing the wrestling game, as he always does. But here today, we're on the road to Revolution, doing my favorite podcast tradition, sitting down with Tony and talking about this excellent wrestling card. You've done it again, these incredible matches. We've already only gone over 3. I don't even know how we haven't even hit half the card yet, and it's already just absolutely incredible. But one of the ones that I personally am most excited about, and I've worked with both these men very closely, we see Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. And we have this grudge and this intensity between the two of them. Chris Jericho thinking he's the big one, and he is. He's the guy. He's been there since the beginning. He is AEW in a sense because of all of that he's done he was our first champion. He was there at the rally in Jacksonville when the company was first announced, and Eddie Kingston is this guy who's had an 18, 19-year career, and he's scratched and clawed his way around, finally made a home at AEW, and these two heads are just clashing with each other, and I'm so excited to see this play out.
I cannot wait for this match. I think we've already talked about what an amazing pay-per-view it's going to be, what an amazing card it's going to be, and I think matches like Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston are why. I mean, for all the reasons Aubrey just said, I think we could do an entire podcast just on the careers of these two gentlemen, each of them separately, and do multiple, really, and all the great matches they've had that have led them here. But she's absolutely right. As far as their careers go, I mean, they've really come from different sides of the tracks in pro wrestling. And I think that you have to look at Eddie Kingston, who's come through the independent scene, and before AEW had never had this kind of national television breakthrough, and all of a sudden is now a worldwide wrestling star for the first time in his career after all these years as a veteran, versus Chris Jericho, who has been wrestling on television, and Tony was calling Chris Jericho's matches in the 1990s.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the all-time greats, Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho, two of the all-time greats. And what he's capable of as well as anybody, Tony, probably better than anybody. And I just think Chris has come back. Also, we talked about Jon Moxley coming back looking better than ever. Jericho looks better than he ever has in AEW. Better than he did when we started.
Yes.
Did the rally better than he did when he was the world champion.
Washboard abs, dude. I don't know. Like he's been putting in the work. He looks great.
He had a little health scare and came back, and he came back looking better than ever. I think he had he was out for a little bit, getting healthy, and I think for Chris, this is not only the best he's ever looked, but when we've seen him in the ring, he looked very sharp. I think it took him a few minutes to get his footing back against Santana and Ortiz, but you could see this is, to me, physically probably the best Chris has looked. And now that he's gotten his bearings back in the ring, I just think with Jericho looking like he does, and talking the way he's been talking, this is a really interesting match.
Yeah, it is. And I think even though Santana and Ortiz and the problems that they've had with Jericho was kind of the catalyst for all this in many ways, I'm thinking about maybe the animosity that Eddie has, because Eddie is known in his heart how good of a wrestler he is, and just never did get that shot until he arrived here in AEW. And maybe he sees Jericho as, Jericho, I was every bit as good as you through these 18 years that I was here, but I never did get the big pedestal to be on. So there's a lot of animosity, deep down animosity there. And you know what? A lot of times that makes for a damn good match.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
It's real. You can feel it.
Exactly.
You can feel the hatred between these two competitors, that they just want to prove one another. Oh, they want to prove themselves against each other. Speaking of which, we have another match on the card that has so much history, even within AEW. We've got Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, our world champion, versus Thunder Rosa, who, as we all know, had an absolutely incredible lights-out match. Main evented the Dynamite, the St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Yep, that's right.
Absolutely phenomenal.
It's been about a year.
It's been about a year. Isn't that crazy?
That is
it's March.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But, I mean, both of these women completely just gave their bodies to professional wrestling that night.
Right.
And we still talk about that match today. And now the two of them have unfinished business, and we're finally seeing it come together in a title match.
Right. It's a great rivalry, Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker. And you can't talk about this match without talking about the two individually. And I'm a friend of Britt, well documented. I understand her. I get it. I know she's a great athlete. I know she's determined. I know how much effort she puts into her matches, and I appreciate it. But I've known Thunder Rosa longer, and people don't realize that. She and I signed autographs together in Staten Island back in 2016, and I've always had a profound respect for what she can do in the ring. She is tough. She is tough as they come. And that lights out match proved it. So I'm really looking forward to this match. And we've talked about how much we're looking for. I'm looking forward to this match more than any of them.
Yep.
Just because I'm personally invested in it, and I respect both competitors.
It's a huge match in AEW. I think it's one of the biggest rivalries in the history of AEW. They had the main event of the St. Patrick's Day Slam last year.
Right.
Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, lights out match. Still one of the most talked about matches we've ever had in AEW. The Pro Wrestling Illustrated Match of the Year in 2021. This following up on it, it's a huge match. The first time they've met one-on-one here in this big championship match. And this rivalry, these kinds of rivalries, matches like this, we're so excited about it, and that's what pro wrestling is all about. And huge pay-per-views like Revolution on Sunday. There's so many big matches. It's hard to pick the biggest one, but this is absolutely the match you could say has as much story, history, and great build behind it as any. And I think there's so many fans that are really excited to see Dr. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa for the Women's World Championship at Revolution.
Yeah, and Thunder Rosa comes in red hot too. She really does. And a lot of times, winning titles, losing titles depends on how hot you are at that time. So I think Britt and I've talked to her about this. I think Britt, you may be getting Thunder Rosa at the wrong time because she's red hot right now. So we'll see how it plays out. But also respect for both of them about what they've done to elevate women's wrestling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a great rivalry. I think, absolutely, like we said, one of the best rivalries in AEW, and very fitting that that's the Women's World Championship match at Revolution. Such a big match for such a huge pay-per-view.
Okay, we've talked about all these great matches coming up at Revolution this Sunday on pay-per-view, but we haven't talked about Sting. Sting being a part of it. Sting! Absolutely, he is going to be a part of this pay-per-view. And I've seen Sting. I've called more Sting matches and pay-per-views than anyone. So,
yeah.
I'm tied to Sting forever, right? So, and he's teaming. What a trio this is going to be. Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara together in this match against Isaiah Cassidy, Andrade El Idolo, and Matt Hardy. Now, before we even get to Revolution, we've got this match coming up, and it'll be live, by the way, coming up on Friday at Rampage, where it's going to be a three-way match for the TNT Championship.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, absolutely.
And Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Andrade. Yep. Everyone's barred from ringside, right?
Yeah, three-way match for the title.
Right.
And going into the pay-per-view, we're going to finally see Darby get a fair chance without any outside interference. We're going to see Andrade get a fair chance without any outside interference. It's a great match. It's a match the fans have wanted to see, and a match I wanted the fans to see. Right. And I think it's a great way for everyone to get it. They get that awesome match for everybody on Rampage live on Friday night.
Right.
And then we're going to go into Revolution. Mm-hmm. One of those three men for sure is going to be the TNT champion. It could be Sammy, maybe still the champion, but it could be Darby Allin, his teammate at the pay-per-view in the Tornado Trios match. Right. On the other side, it could be Andrade El Idolo. Right. And it's a lot to think about, but it's a huge match. Whoever is the TNT champion coming out of that, they're going to have a lot to think about because they're going to be in this crazy Tornado Trios match with legendary wrestlers like Sting and Matt Hardy, all-time greats, Isaiah Cassidy, who I think is one of the top up-and-coming wrestlers. Yeah. And when I was putting the card together, I absolutely wanted Sting on this pay-per-view. You know, the last couple pay-per-views, Sting wasn't on him, and he is one of our biggest stars. He's one of the biggest wrestling stars ever. And the fact that he's still active, he belongs on any pay-per-view. So I really thought it would be great to have this match. We still give the fans the great three-way match live for everybody on Rampage on Friday night. And then whoever the champion goes into this match. And also on the other side, talk about a young wrestler with less experience. Isaiah's just blown me away. Yeah. I gave him some really big opportunities, and he absolutely hit it out of the park over and over again for this company, whether it was when he went out on Christmas on Rampage and wrestled Jungle Boy on Christmas night in an excellent, excellent match.
Yes. Right.
And then challenged Sammy for the TNT Championship, had an excellent match, and it was so good that I thought he deserved another shot. And what a great match he had against Keith Lee in Keith Lee's debut. We'll talk more about Keith Lee and the TNT Championship and the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Right. But there's a lot out there for whoever wins this three-way Friday night on Rampage. And this match is a big match. The AHFO, in some ways, we've almost seen them click better with Andrade than Matt lately. Matt, his behavior has been very erratic, and I think it'll be interesting to see how they all get along on that side. But also, we know Sammy and Darby are going to get in a fight on Friday night with Andrade. It'll be a three-way match, and Sammy and Darby, it'll be interesting to see how they react to, how they respond to each other, and how they team up, and how, you know, Sammy interacts not just with Darby, but with Sting.
Right. There's a lot when you're a champion. There's a lot of people that obviously are gunning for the title, if I can use that old cliche, or want the title, and one that obviously is Scorpio Sky, who has to be considered a top contender for the TNT Championship or any championship, because the success he's had within the last year.
He specifically was the Face of the Revolution ladder match winner last year.
That's right.
We'll touch upon that ladder match here. But we established a match last year at Revolution. It was a great match. Scorpio Sky won the match. He got the title shot at Darby Allin. Darby Allin was on an amazing run. We'll see Darby Allin get another chance to get the belt back on Friday night. And what a match they had. That was the last time Sky lost a match, lost a fall. And he has not been pinned or submitted in almost a year. Actually, this coming Wednesday will be 364 days. So it's actually a week from today makes 365 days. And
Wow.
Scorpio Sky's definitely in line for a TNT title shot, as is the winner of this ladder match. So there's going to be some great contenders for whoever wins this three-way match. And all three men in the three-way TNT title match have a very tough test in the Tornado Trios match.
Speaking of the ladder match, when we continue on AEW Unrestricted, we'll talk about the ladder match for the Face of the Revolution, the world title match, and so much more. This is AEW Unrestricted. Tony Schiavone, Aubrey Edwards, joined by Tony Khan as we're on the road to Revolution. Coming up this Sunday, only on pay-per-view, available on the Bleacher Report app. It's also available satellite cable providers. Don't forget, you can see it in theaters, AMC, Regal Cinema, Cinemark, and also internationally, you can see it on the Fight.tv app as well. So make sure you join us. And, of course, we've got a live Rampage coming up this Friday from Orlando as well. We were talking about the ladder match. And, of course, we still got two big title matches to talk about.
Oh my God.
Before we get there, we've got the Face of the Revolution ladder match where one individual will win and go on to get a TNT title shot. And you know what? You got some pretty big guys trying to climb up a ladder coming up on Sunday.
We have some big names, and we're going to have one more name we're going to add on Rampage. And still a match to come, and we've already got 5 enormous names and some big men in this match. Some very big men in this match. Right. And it's very interesting. From the beginning, we've had Keith Lee walk into AEW, and Keith Lee's arrival, we just mentioned it. What a great match he had, a great debut.
Such a fantastic debut.
Awesome match with Isaiah Cassidy, and talk about, making a statement on your debut.
Right.
Keith Lee absolutely did, got people talking, and now he is a big favorite in this match, I think.
Right.
And you've got some other big men in this match. We've seen Powerhouse Hobbs. To imagine those two going toe-to-toe, two of the strongest, most powerful, dominant forces in AEW, Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Hobbs, that's pretty interesting. And then we've also had one of the most powerful men in AEW, Wardlow, entered into the match. And we've seen Wardlow on a dominant run in AEW lately.
Yeah. Wow. Even just with that Powerbomb Symphony. Like, soon as the Powerbombs start coming out, the match is done.
Wardlow is awesome. There is no question about that. You also have Ricky Starks in this. You have Orange Cassidy in this. Now, remember, to win, you have to climb up the ladder and grab the ring.
And they're not the two biggest guys in the match, but we also got Ricky Starks and Orange Cassidy in this match. And each of them is one of the most accomplished wrestlers in AEW. Ricky Starks, the FTW champion. We've seen him on a great run of matches. He beat number 10 to get into this match. He's had some great defenses of the title against great veteran wrestlers like Matt Sydal and Jay Lethal. Ricky Starks on fire right now. Orange Cassidy, one of the most accomplished wrestlers in AEW. He's in the top 5 in wins. He's been the number 1 contender to the championship. He was this close to winning the title at Double or Nothing last year. And Revolution is his pay-per-view. Orange Cassidy debuted at Revolution, his first ever singles match against Pac. And ever since then, it's been a steady build of popularity and accomplishments. So I think even though there's 3 men that will have the size advantage with Keith Lee, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs, you have to also consider that Ricky Starks and Orange Cassidy have every bit as good a chance as anybody in this match.
And then coming up on Friday, we are going to have a chance for another man to qualify, and that's going to be Christian Cage against Ethan Page. That should be a tremendous matchup. Christian Cage is a veteran of ladder matches, as we know. Mm-hmm. Ethan Page has been one of the more successful ones. 2 great Canadian stars. Great job, and we're going to find out who that final person will be on Friday.
It's a huge match, and you have to consider with Scorpio Sky being in line for a TNT title shot, if Ethan Page can win this match and win the Face of the Revolution ladder match, he would set himself up in a position where American Top Team would have 2 title shots.
Right.
And what would happen if they went one-on-one for the title, which is now a possibility, a very real possibility.
Right.
And also, on the other hand, Christian Cage is one of the best ladder match wrestlers of all time.
Right? Yes.
He's a genius mind. And as you said, 2 of the great Canadian wrestlers, certainly today in the world, and 2 of the great Canadian wrestlers in recent memory. I'm really excited for this match. And I think whoever goes into the ladder match, again, you add a sixth very gifted, very dangerous competitor,
right.
And it's going to be a great field, we know, in this match.
Don't forget that Rampage will be live coming up this Friday on TNT. Congratulations for signing Keith Lee. What a great sign, man. Just so much. You can tell when he comes out, such a great presence, so much positivity. He's just a great person.
Such a good guy.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, he is. Good job on that. Great
Thanks.
job. All right, TBS Championship will be on the line as the undefeated Jade Cargill will defend against Tay Conti. Jade has had quite a number of tests. She's won them all.
Yeah.
28-0, right?
Absolutely.
All right. But Tay Conti presents maybe her biggest challenge yet.
Absolutely. Tay Conti is one of the best athletes in all of AEW. These are two of the best athletes in AEW going one-on-one for the TBS Championship. I think they both have a great background before they got into pro wrestling, and both of them have improved so much in such a quick time. Tay Conti, the most improved wrestler in the world in the past year, versus Jade Cargill, the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Talk about an upside match.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous. It's exciting. It's really cool. And I'm very excited to see one-on-one what's going to happen with Tay Conti versus Jade for the championship. Jade's wrestled some very tough people since she won the title, and we've seen her have some great matches. I think her best matches yet since she became have been since she won the title.
Yes.
She's had some really great matches, great wrestlers, Red Velvet, great example. But in the tournament, we saw Jade have some really good matches on her way here. But I think her best work has been as the champion. I thought her match with Anna Jay, Tay Conti's tag team partner and best friend, I thought that was Jade's best match. And it was also, I thought, one of Anna Jay's best matches. I thought it was probably Anna Jay's best match.
I agree.
Jade also has a great presence when she walks to the ring, when her entrance, she's such a phenomenal athlete, Tony. But she's going to face a woman who has a tremendous skill set in Tay Conti. She's never faced anybody like this before. That's quite a challenge for a champion who is undefeated and who has an abundance of confidence, don't you think?
Absolutely. Jade has been a heavy favorite in a lot of her matches. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure she's a heavy favorite. She has been. I mean, it's hard to bet against the undefeated Rookie of the Year, but when you're looking at Tay Conti, the most improved wrestler in the world, who's coming off her biggest win in that street fight, she's taken it to another level in terms of her violence, in terms of what she's willing to do. And now give her another chance at a championship. I really do think Tay has every bit as much a chance as anybody to walk out a winner and walk out a champion at Revolution.
It'll be for the TBS Championship coming up this Sunday at Revolution. And now for the AEW World title. It's going to be the champion, Hangman Adam Page. What a champion he has been.
Wonderful champion.
Yeah. I don't think anyone saw this run coming. We all knew he could be a champion, but the run he has had with Kenny Omega, with Bryan Danielson, with that Texas death match.
With Lance Archer,
Lance
yes.
Archer, the people who have come up, stepped up, and tried to take the title away from him. He's still the champion, but now it is Adam Cole. Two guys who know each other, two guys who have been friends, and this is going to be quite a world title match, Tony.
So to have Hangman Page defending the World Championship at Revolution, you know it's going to be a great match. It has to be.
Yeah, and he faces a guy that, well, personally, I do not care for. I think that's well known. But you cannot deny what Adam Cole has made, the mark he has made on wrestling, the mark he has made on AEW since his arrival at All Out. He's a tremendous athlete. He is a confident athlete. He's got a lot of friends in this business, and, of course, one of his friends was Hangman Adam Page. It's going to make for a great match. I don't care for the guy. I think he needs to wash his hair. I think he needs to leave me alone. But that's another story. Great wrestler and successful wrestler. Man, look at we talk about wins and losses in AEW, right? Look at his record since coming into AEW.
He's unbeaten.
Right. The only match he really stumbled in was that non-sanctioned match. So he is actually undefeated.
Well, we've seen Dr. Britt Baker, in a very similar situation. The lights out match before that,
right,
at the St. Patrick's Day Slam, she rebounded, and then she had that immaculate record, and then took that record to become the world champion.
Right.
And a lot of parallels, obviously a very close relationship between Dr. Britt Baker and Adam Cole in real life. But Also, some interesting parallels because Adam Cole now sports that unbeaten record.
Right.
And the only blemish is that one lights out match. And frankly, when you look at the list of people that Adam Cole has beaten in AEW, it is very impressive. It includes multiple number one contenders.
That's right.
And he has had some of the biggest, best matches we've had. He's been one of our biggest ratings draws since he came in. Whether it was his matches against Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and of course he did beat Jungle Boy in a one-on-one match on Dynamite in a huge match. Whether it was a match against Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, and he beat Orange Cassidy one-on-one when they wrestled in a sanctioned match.
Right.
Every time he's gotten in the ring for a sanctioned wrestling match, he has won it. Yeah. And that trend could easily continue at this pay-per-view. Since Hangman won the title at Full Gear, he's accomplished a lot as the champion. He's beaten Bryan Danielson. That is something nobody else has been able to do in AEW, and something very few people in pro wrestling can ever say they accomplished.
Right.
And then to win that Texas Death Match against Lance Archer, who's a master of the Texas Death Match, it's very impressive stuff. Lance Archer, of course, beat Jon Moxley to win the IWGP U.S. title in the Texas Death Match.
We saw that, absolutely.
It was his domain. And Hangman went in there, and we've seen he can get in there and wrestle with the best of them, or he can get in there and have a bloody Texas Death Match. And I think now bringing Adam Cole in here, Adam Cole unbeaten in AEW and having had some of the biggest matches we've had since he arrived, this guy is really important to this company. Okay. He's pulled some of the biggest ratings we've pulled in the time he's been here.
Yep.
In his matches with Jungle Boy and Jurassic Express, and his matches with Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, and many others, time after time, Adam Cole has pulled really good numbers for us. And since he arrived, you cannot deny we've had a raise in interest. He's a huge seller of merchandise. Mm-hmm. He's got a theme song that is one of the top sellers on iTunes.
Right.
It was so important to me to get Adam Cole in AEW, and already he's made that investment very worthwhile.
Right.
And now to have him wrestling for the World Championship, I just think it's such a big deal, and this is a dream match. Hangman Page versus Adam Cole for the world title.
Yeah, Adam Cole could be your next world champion by the time Aubrey and I do our next podcast.
Oh, wow.
Well, here we go.
What a world.
The road to revolution continues. Don't forget that we have coming up Rampage live from Orlando, a Friday night on TNT. We talked about the two matches that we have so far. We're going to qualify one other person for that ladder match, that the Face of the Revolution ladder match between Christian Cage and Ethan Page. Then we got the three-way match for the TNT title, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Andrade El Idolo. Everyone's barred from ringside. Some great matches there. Plus, we're going to have Serena Deeb in her 5-minute challenge on Rampage as well. And Keith Lee will be in action, and you know who's going to be in the house. Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Taz of Team Taz. This is their show. This is their domain. It's going to make for a great Rampage coming up on Friday night on TNT. And then don't forget, on Sunday, it is AEW Revolution, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, available on BR Live, that app, as well as internationally on Fight.tv, that app there as well. It's also available in theaters, as you know, as we've talked about. It's been a great week. It's been an incredible week thus far with your big announcement, big guy. We'll be talking about that in future podcasts. As always, we appreciate your time, buddy.
Thank you. And I love this tradition that the three of us have.
Yes.
I love it.
And I love spending the road to the pay-per-views, and there's nothing like the road to Revolution. This is an awesome time in wrestling, and I love sharing it with both of you and with all the great fans of AEW. Thank you to everybody for listening or watching this podcast, and thank you everybody who's going to watch Revolution on Sunday.
Yes, sir. And don't forget, you can join this podcast, the video version, on our YouTube channel. Just search AEW Unrestricted as well.
This is Aubrey Edwards
and Tony Schiavone for Tony Khan. Let's go.
Let's go. AEW Unrestricted. See you at the pay-per-view.